What's going on, everyone? Tantalize Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you a guide for Affliction Warlocks as we head into Shadowlands and the upcoming Arena season, Season 1. Today I'm going to be covering Covenants, kind of the preferable choice for Affliction Warlocks right now, and kind of what I've seen. I'm also going to be covering the most optimal way to gear and preferred talents and stats. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about and really cover, which I feel is really the most important thing right now that's early on in Shadowlands, is choosing the correct covenant for PvP. Now, Skill Capped and some other sources prior to the actual launch of Shadowlands shared that they felt that the most, optimal PvP covenant for Affliction Warlock was going to be Venthyr. So you saw a lot of guides that were coming out, myself included. I actually created a guide for Venthyr as the optimal covenant choice for PvP. However, since the game has come out, there's been some things that have been tested and tried, and I would have to say that that has changed to Night Fae being the most optimal PvP choice for Affliction Warlock, and I'll kind of cover why that is. So, first of all, looking at Night Fae, understand that right now, going into the start of Shadowlands, we actually won't have the preferred Soulbind person that we'll want. The person you're going to want to choose is Corian when he becomes available, he or she. Right now, that's not an option, so a lot of Warlocks have just been playing with Naya. So when I say a lot of Warlocks, I'm not just talking about like people you see in the battleground that are running around. I'm actually follow pretty close to Chanimal, who's a multi-glad Affliction Warlock, or just main Warlock, who's now maining Affliction for Shadowlands. I think he played Destruction in BFA like a lot of Warlock players did. But he also kind of put out there that Venthyr was going to be the best and swapped to Night Fae. Another one is Maldiva. He also now mains Night Fae. So I think just seeing the common trend of a lot of really experienced, Warlocks that you typically are getting over a 3,000 arena rating are going with the Night Fae speaks for itself. However, from my own personal perspective, looking at Night Fae, one huge advantage that I've seen for them over the Venthyr is that their abilities are their own school of magic. One thing I was disappointed to see with the Venthyr was that their Door of Shadows and Impending Catastrophe were both shadow magic. So all of our abilities as Affliction Warlock is shadow magic. So if you get kicked while trying to cast a Door of Shadows, you're silenced from everything. And vice versa. If you get kicked while using a Fear or an Unstable Affliction, you're not able to use Door of Shadows or your Impending Catastrophe. Essentially making Warlocks with a Venthyr Warlock being really easy to shut down. One thing I've enjoyed trying out skirmishes and things as a Night Fae is that if I get kicked using a Fear or something else, I'm at least able to cast Skull Rot or Soul Shape to get away and kind of keep moving around. So the next huge advantage that Night Fae has over the Venthyr is Soul Shape. Right now, if you haven't played a lot of PvP and skirmishes or battlegrounds, you're going to notice that melee specs or melee classes have a huge advantage right now in PvP. They're absolutely shredding Warlocks if they can get on them. And so Soul Shape just kind of helps you to be able to kite a little bit better and to be able to survive. Right now, if you're Renown 3 with Naya, Soul Shape actually heals you. You're getting a 20% heal, so close to a health stone, just by running around in your Soul Shape form. So that's pretty good. So yeah, mainly the main things I think why a lot of people are going for Night Fae is for the Soul Shape, to be able to kite and to be able to have more mobility as a Warlock in addition to your Gate and your Demonic Circle. Door of Shadows was cool, you could teleport, but again, it's a 1.5-second cast. Opposed to an instant cast, and it's in the same school of magic as everything else, so pretty easy to shut down. So with that being said, Venthyr, if you've already invested in it, I'm sure that Venthyr will still be an alright covenant to play, depending on what you're playing with. I think if you're playing with another class that has a lot of slows already to help you kite a little bit better and get away, you'll probably be okay as a Venthyr. Namely Frost Mages, Rogues, and Death Knights. I think either of those 3 specs you would do alright with as a Venthyr Warlock. I do think, however, right now that Night Fae is kind of the optimal thing for Affliction Warlocks going into PvP, going into Season 1. So, with that being said, if you've already gotten your Venthyr to rank 3 as far as the renown goes, then you're in the same boat as me. I kind of fed into all of the different guides and things and didn't really look over, I guess, the full potential of Night Fae, and I had to switch to this Covenant. If you're switching to Night Fae from Venthyr, you're really not losing too much this early on in Shadowlands. I mean, it's been out not even a full week, so you're still able to get it up to Renown 3 pretty quickly. Just if you have anything in your bags that give you anima, make sure you save those and then pick up the quest to add anima to increase your renown first. So I made the mistake of depositing all my anima as soon as I switched to Night Fae, and then I didn't think about picking up the quest and then having that count, so I had to reform that much more anima. But if you want to get to Renown 3 quickly and you have things in your bag that give you renown from like world quests and other things, then hang on to those and you can pick up the quests that they give you to increase your renown, and then turn those in, and you can actually get your renown up to 3 pretty quickly for week 1 here. So as we get closer and further into the season, I'll post another video guide about which conduits and things I think are going to be the best for Corian here. In a previous video, I put the Cold Embrace conduit as an option for PvP as kind of like a finisher build for your Drained Soul, compounding with Shadow Embrace. For some reason, I thought that the 36% increase was the increase to the actual buff that you got here. I didn't know that it was just a 36% increase effectiveness of the ability. So you're not going from 9% to 45% by using this. You're going from 9% and then adding 36% additional of that 9%. So you're maybe getting like 15-16% increased damage from Shadow Embrace, and you're taking up an entire potency conduit from that. So I don't really feel like Cold Embrace has that much value. Right now it's looking like you're going to want to be using for your potency conduit, Rolling Agony. I don't have that one right now. I have Focus Malignancy, which is still a strong potency conduit. Essentially, as you upgrade this, your Malefic Raptures are just going to be doing a lot more damage in arenas and battlegrounds, but having the extra, I think the baseline, yeah, let's look at this. Yeah, the baseline increase is an extra 5 seconds on the agony, so you're getting pretty much a 23-second agony in opposed to an 18 seconds. So essentially you're saving yourself 5 globals by having that conduit. You know, you're going to have 5 extra seconds to do either a fear or a Malefic Rapture or something else like that. So I would prioritize trying to get Rolling Agony as your first potency, and then as we get into unlocking your second potency, I would focus on going in with Focus Malignancy as your second potency at that point. But that's not until we're now in 28, which is going to be weeks and weeks down the road. So I'm sure things might change by that time, but for now, Rolling Agony as your starter potency if you can get it from the other side, and then your Focus Malignancy as your second once we get to that point is what's going to be probably the best as far as conduits in the potency go. Your finesse conduits, I think I don't have all of them right now. I have a Shade of Terror one. I think that you can pretty much choose a Shade of Terror, which makes it to where people that are in a fear take more damage before they come out of it. That's probably one I'll run, honestly. Being able to fear people that have dots up and not have your dots break them out of that fear, that's pretty powerful. Also securing kills on maybe like a healer, right? If you're trying to get a kill on a healer who's kind of lower, you're going to be able to fear him and then do more damage to him, and it's not going to break him out of the fear so that he can't heal and you can secure the kill on a healer. So that's looking pretty good. I did see one that increases your movement speed when you use Demonic Circle. That could be another good one. And then as far as your endurance conduits, I don't have this one either, but I know it's out there. Honestly, the one you're going to want to get is the one that makes your Unending Resolve have a lower cooldown. So look for those as you kind of level up your conduits. Again, like I said, as Season 1 kind of gets further into it and we get more of the Renown abilities unlocked, I'll make another guide on kind of what I'm running and how it's working. But that's kind of the preliminary guide of how I'm looking at Night Fae right now. Some cool things I haven't mentioned about Night Fae, another reason why I kind of like them right now for PvP, is the survivability of Soul Rot in addition to Unending Resolve right now is actually pretty good. And I'll kind of cover that more when I go over overall talents. But essentially, you're going to be able to use Drain Life on multiple targets, and the heal that comes from that, if you're talented into Inevitable Demise, can actually be pretty good. So, yeah, let's jump into talents. Going into talents here, they're pretty much the same. So, your first row here, Drain Soul can be really good. It is new improved with this Shadow Embrace like I was talking about with the Conduits. So I typically do run Drain Soul. However, Inevitable Demise could be really good when paired with Soul Rot. The reason being, obviously, your Agony is going to increase the damage of your Drain Life. So if you're in 3s and you have your Agony rolling on everyone, you're going to get your 50 ID stacks. Once that's up to 50, you're able to use Soul Rot and then cast your Drain Life, and your Drain Life's going to do a lot of damage to whoever you're Drain Lifing. The issue with that is that it's easy to shut down. All you have to be is stunned or interrupted, and that whole build kind of goes out the window. So, but if you're dying and you are rolling ID and you're able to use Unending Resolve to give you the interruption and immunity, and you're already low on health, then using Drain Life in addition to all the extra damage could add a lot of survivability as well as a lot of damage to your overall build as Affliction Warlock. So that's looking like something that I'm really excited to try out. As far as your other talents, everything is pretty much the same as pre-patch. In your 25 row, I really feel like Absolute Corruption is the only way to go. Your 30 row, Demon Skin has always been a go-to for me in arenas in 3s. However, lately I've been trying something a lot in 2s with Dark Pact, which is actually pretty good. Like I said earlier, melees are really just whomping in the arena right now. Our haste levels are so low as casters that it's going to take a minute for us to catch up in burst damage or any real serious damage output as melees, I feel like. So in 2s, if you're not playing with the healer as Affliction Warlock, you're pretty easy to kill, especially against melees. They kind of just jump on you, and even with your Soul Shape and Demonic Circle and your Gate and Cookies and all of that, you still go down pretty quick. So something I've been doing in 2s that I kind of have liked is I've been running Dark Pact with the Health Trinket, which is right here. So I'll kind of show you really quick what that looks like. So essentially what you're going to want to do is have your Dark Pact talented, and you're going to have your Health Trinket here, which gives you a 7,500 extra health. And you'll activate your Trinket first to give you the health increase, so that jumped me up to 35,000 health, and then you'll use your Sacrificial Shield or your Dark Pact to get a shield that absorbs 18,200 damage. So if you're playing in 2s and you don't have a healer and you're looking for some survivability, that's what I've found to be a pretty good strat on being able to absorb a huge amount of damage. But you got to use it at the right time, and if you use it too early before they use cooldowns, then you can really kind of screw yourself over. But that's how I've kind of been experimenting with Dark Pact. In your 35 row, you're usually always going to go for Phantom Singularity. The heal that comes from that's just too good to pass up. Same with Mortal Coil. Sometimes in 3s, if you have a strong enough healer, Howl of Terror can be really good. Especially because your Shade of Terror conduit that you may have equipped applies to fear effects, not just this ability fear. So you're going to be able to use Howl of Terror and have damage rolling on the targets without them breaking out of your Howl of Terror if this is equipped. So that could be really good. Again, though, in 2s, I feel like Mortal Coil is kind of your go-to. Right now, in your 45 row, I feel like Grimmer of Sacrifice is almost a must-play. Just because Haunt adds a whole nother global rotation to your bar. Not that Haunt can't be good, just that, you know, a 1.3 second cast in addition to your other 1.3 second cast and your 1.5 second cast and all these different things that you're trying to get off and cast in an arena right now until Warlocks have, you know, 20 plus haste again. I feel like it's just going to be really hard to keep that going. So Grimmer of Sacrifice is good because you're able to sacrifice your pet, still get a decent amount of damage out, get their ability, you don't have to worry about resummoning it, and you're not worrying about getting interrupted on a haunt and locking you out of all of your other stuff that, you know, you need to be doing in an arena. So Grimmer of Sacrifice is usually my go-to on this talent bracket here. So on 50, it's the same as in my last guide. Dark Soul Misery is almost a must in arenas, unless you're versing a shaman or someone that can purge easily. Then they can lock that 2-minute cooldown down pretty quick. Creeping Death is the talent I take in that case. So if you're not versing a purger, take Dark Soul. If you are versing a purger, take Creeping Death. So going on to your PvP talents. So Deathbolt was kind of a thing in pre-patch, but right now with the new talent Rapid Contagion, I feel like that is the go-to if you're wanting to do your extra damage. So essentially you're going to dot everyone up, pop that, and all of your dots are going to tick quicker. If you're able to use this in addition to your Dark Soul Misery for the 30% increased haste, that actually does quite a considerable amount of spread damage, so I like that. The new and improved Demon Armor is awesome, jumping from 90% up to 150%. Gives you a little bit more survivability. I've liked that. I'm excited to see how that compounds with the increased versatility later on in Shadowlands and into the PvP season. And then, of course, your Rapid Afflictions is a must-have in arenas or battlegrounds. Having the extra damage from your extra UAs, as well as having multiple UAs out, is awesome. So if you're more worried about survivability and less about damage as much, the talent to give up here, I feel like, is this one, Rapid Contagion. So if you're versing a caster as well, you could take Nether Ward, Demon Armor, and Rapid Afflictions. I feel like this is also a decent build here. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about the talents right now going into Season 1. Let's get into stats and gearing as an Affliction Warlock. Right now, I've kind of no-liked this game, I'm not going to lie. And so pretty much every piece of gear I have that's from the Battleground vendor is rank 3, which in week 1 right now, that's the cap for the Battleground vendor. So I do have a couple pieces of gear on from the Mythic Dungeons that you can do right now. Mythic Zeros are dropping 184s. If you're super lucky, I've seen a few guys get 190s. But essentially, if you're just doing Battlegrounds, then you're kind of limited to the 171 pieces up until the PvP season starts. So to get gear, I kind of just started doing Battlegrounds. I would suggest, if you haven't done this in the past, queuing as Alliance. So there's actually a mercenary guy to the right of the vendors in Ouroboros. You can talk to him. He's a human. He'll give you the Alliance buff if you play Horde. And I don't know what it is, man, about Shadowlands, but it seems like Alliance is winning more in BGs, and also the queues are faster. So maybe that's just me, but I did notice queuing for Alliance opposed to queuing for Horde, I was winning a lot more games and earning a lot more honor, and my queues were popping a lot quicker. So if you're getting gear still and you're not quite at rank 3 on all of your PvP gear, then you can do that. Just queue as an Alliance and go from there. So once you start getting your item level, you know, around 155, 160, then you can start queuing for Mythic Zeros, and those will drop 184s. The Mythic Dungeons that you're going to want to queue for are first the other side. This is only because it drops Rolling Agony, which I talked about earlier. Rolling Agony is a super strong conduit right now for Affliction Warlocks. That's one that I'm really wishing that I had, but I don't yet. It didn't drop for me. So try to get your Rolling Agony out of that. As far as gear goes and stats, what you want is versatility and haste, okay? So those are going to be your 2 top priority stats. Honestly, I would say because of the 40% extra versatility you're getting from both trinkets, versatility is probably going to be your main stat with haste closely behind it. So look for dungeons that drop haste burst gear. Some of them don't, and some of them do. From what I've experienced, the Mist, Plaguefall, Spires, Necrotic Wake, and Theater of Pain all drop at least one really good haste burst gear. So if you're looking at, you know, the Mist, you have there's a headpiece right there, a 184 with haste and burst on it. That's an awesome piece of gear if you're able to get that. And then sometimes they only have just like the one. Here's the second one, those wrists, okay? Those would be awesome. But essentially, when you're looking through the dungeon guide for loot, look for pieces that have versatility and haste on them in your mythics. Those are going to be the kind of the go-to. Also, one misconception that people had about Mythic Zeros was that you can only get like one piece of gear for the whole dungeon, because that's how the new mythics will be once the season starts. You know, Mythic Pluses, Mythic 1, Mythic 2, one person will be able to get a piece of gear out of the box at the end of the dungeon, whether you time it or not. However, with Mythic Zeros, you have a chance of loot per boss. So keep that in mind, that as you're running, just because you got loot on one boss doesn't mean you can't get another piece of loot on the next. It's all RNG, and it all goes off of which, you know, each individual boss has your own chance to get your gear. So gearing, I would go with, you know, get some BGs in, try to get your gear score up to 160 through doing that. If you can't, then maybe do some world quests. The world quests are dropping okay gear to get you started, but right now queuing as Alliance and BGs is pretty good. And then from there, once you're about 160, start spamming your mythic dungeons, particularly those 6 that I listed. The Other Side, Mist, Plague, Spires, Necrotic, and Theater of Pain, so that you can get your haste burst gear and try to get that Rolling Agony conduit. That would be my advice as far as gearing goes, and remember that your haste bursts are your 2 main important stats to look for when trying to get your gear. So staying on the topic of gear, something that I would suggest is even after you get all your gear, try to stockpile as much honor as you can. Try to get up to that 15,000 mark before the season starts, because essentially what's going to happen is you're going to keep getting your renown ranked up, right? So next week on Tuesday, our renown will go up to 6. And then on Tuesday, December 8th, the day that the arena season starts, gear will be able to be upgraded to rank 5. So from rank 3 up to rank 5. And if you're capped on honor at 15,000 honor, once that happens, then you won't have to farm honor to upgrade your gear. You might have to farm a little bit to finish every upgrade. But 15,000 honor, that's pretty significant. You should be able to, in theory, upgrade almost every single piece of gear that you have equipped to rank 5. You might have to farm a little bit of honor to get like the remaining 3 pieces. But if you can get capped to 15,000 honor by that Tuesday and have all of your gear already at rank 3, then you're going to be able to upgrade it up to rank 5. And you'll be pretty much at like a 185 to 190 item level. I believe the PvP gear is going up by 6 item levels per rank. So you'll go from 171 up to 177, and then from 177 up to 183, 184 item level. So that's right there with the Mythic Zeros that everyone is kind of, you know, making a priority to spam. So by the time that starts, you should be pretty much full Mythic Zero geared and ready for arenas. So that's kind of my suggestions as far as gearing goes, with stat priority and obtaining your gear. If you have any other suggestions or things that I've left out, feel free to bring them up in the comments. I'm interested to know if there's anything I missed. Let's talk about Legendaries real quick, and Torghast. So my friend kind of taught me this about Torghast, and I didn't know this, but essentially each week there's 2 different areas of Torghast that will open up. So today or this week we had Soul Forges and Upper Reaches, which are just the 2 little portals inside the Tower of Torghast. Well, on Tuesday those will switch to another random 2 areas to go do. So if you complete layer 3 on one of the areas, then it unlocks layer 3 for the second area, and you can actually go in and do layer 3 on the second area, and it will give you all the soul ash as if you had done layer 2 and layer 1 of the second area. So if you're wanting to get those done quick and you have the gear to do it, you really don't have to go and do layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 of the one area and then go in and do layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 of the second. You can just do 1, 2, and 3 and then go to the other portal and do layer 3 there. So, like I said, this week it was Soul Forges and Upper Reaches that were available to do. Really, the main legendary that Affliction Warlocks are going to want to get is the Sacrolash Dark Strike. This is more damage to Corruption, and it's also the 50% slow. So if you look on the screen, it tells you that it's a drop from Torghast in the Skoldus Hall, which is one of those areas that is randomized each week. So I'm really hoping that on Tuesday that will be the area that is available so that we can go get our legendary piece of gear. Really excited about this. Something else that I saw Chanimal suggest that I would also suggest is that when you're making your legendary, make sure to put it onto your legs. You'll see that my pants or my legs are only rank 2 in PvP, and that's because it dawned on me that I'm going to be making my legendary in my leg slot. So the reason being is because your legs will give you more stats than your feet as far as intellect and stamina and burst and haste or whatever. So if you're making your legendary into your legs as a 190 item level piece, or 195 I think it is when you make it, you're going to get a lot more haste, a lot more intellect, things like that by having it in your leg slot. So keep that in mind. I really think this is the go-to legendary for Affliction Warlocks. It's going to be really awesome to have that slow in arenas, especially with soul shape and things to get away. That's going to be awesome. As far as just fun ones, I've kind of looked at this Pillars of the Dark Portal. I don't think I'd ever use this in arena, but the fact that it knocks anyone away in the path in which you travel, pairing that with this Gateway Mastery for an increased 20-yard range, I think that combo could actually be really fun in Eye of the Storm. So Warlocks have never really had a pushback, you know, to like make people fly off the edge in Eye of the Storm. But I think having this and that Gateway Mastery talent and just like putting a gate in the middle of the bridge of Eye of the Storm and knocking the whole team off could be really fun. So, which you can buy the recipe for this from the honor vendor. I think it's like 1500 honor or something like that. So it's not even like, you know, I mean, other than the soul ash, right, that we're going to have to farm out of Torghast, it's not that hard to get. So this is a fun one I've looked at. If you're not going to use Sacrolash's Dark Strike for your legendary, but you're wanting to do more damage, then I would say you're probably going to want to farm the Malefic Wrath. So essentially every time you use that, your Drain Soul is going to increase by a lot of damage. So, but that doesn't come until the raid. So for now, guys, if you're playing Aff Warlock, if you're wanting to get into PvP and do just arenas and battlegrounds, this is a quick, easy legendary to get. Hopefully we'll be able to get it next week. At the very latest, we'll be able to get it for Season 1. Because again, the different wings here, the different areas, if one of them isn't Skoldus Hall on Tuesday next week, then for sure on December 8th, it will rotate to the hall, the Skoldus Hall, so that we'll be able to get that legendary recipe for your Sacrolash's Dark Strike. So, guys, that's pretty much all I have for Affliction Warlocks in Shadowlands. Playing them and doing skirmishes and things like that, I've had a lot of fun. I think it's kind of hard right now with the haste levels of Warlocks, or really just casters in general. I've noticed that you know, playing with Shadow Priests and other casters, that it's a lot harder to get stuff off in skirmishes. I'm hoping that that changes as the season carries on and we're able to get more haste. But you know, we'll see how that happens and how the balancing kind of works out with all the different melee classes and things like that. So, alright guys, that's going to bring it into my video today for Affliction, Warlocks, and Shadowlands. I hope you've enjoyed it. If there's any other information or things that you guys have that I didn't share, please put it out there. I'm just here to try to help educate the community about some of the things that I think are going to help Warlocks, specifically in a PvP nature, going into Season 1. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. I'm always trying to put out new content and kind of help the Warlock community in a PvP aspect. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.